Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I'm excited to have Naomi Shippen joining me. Hi Naomi.
Hi Jackie, how are you?
Good, thanks. Excited to have Naomi back again. She's been our author for the day before, so great to have you back.
Thank you, great to be here.
And just about a little bit about Naomi before we get started into questions. So, Naomi lives in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne and has two adult sons. Although she has always wanted to write, it is not until recent years that she has begun pursuing her passion. Her debut novel is Far From Harm, which we can see in the background there, and I've also got my copy here. And Far From Harm is a sorry, I've just lost my is a domestic suspense novel set in the high country of Victoria, Australia, and she's currently working on her next book. So thanks, Naomi, for joining us. Do you want to start by telling us a bit about Far From Harm?
Yeah, well, it's a domestic suspense. It's set in the high country of Victoria, and it's about a 37-year-old aspiring author who makes a tree change to the high country of Victoria, where she plans to write her novel. But instead of writing her novel, she meets and marries a local entrepreneur who's a former TV star, and they soon get married and decide to start a family. And life on their alpine property is wonderful until her new husband Rick gets a text message from his ex-wife Anita saying, "Come and pick up your teenage daughter. I'm going overseas with a new boyfriend, and you need to look after your daughter." And then things just take a very different turn from there on in.
Mm.
And Teresa, at first, while she wants to welcome her new stepdaughter into the family, when the stepdaughter comes to stay, she soon realizes things aren't quite what they seem. The ex-wife and mother of the stepdaughter just cannot be contacted, and they don't hear from her for weeks and months. And then Teresa has to start asking questions about her husband's former wives in order to save herself and her unborn child.
Mm, mm. And yeah, there certainly are a lot of twists and turns. Do
Yes.
you want to let us know how, like, what was the first idea you had for Far From Harm?
Oh, it's really a composite of a lot of things. I was always fascinated with the theme of someone who's trapped without being, physically strained, and someone who's also trapped not just by someone else, but someone who's really a prisoner of their own misbelief.
Mm,
So that's a theme that I wanted to start with. I was also inspired for the character of Rick. He's the antagonist in the story. There's a TV actor who, in real life, he sort of has a bit of a self-deprecating sense of humour about how he's a B actor. But I sort of thought, well, what if this guy actually wanted to be a serious actor and he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder? So that's something that sort of inspired the character of Rick. But Rick's really a composite, and he's a composite of a lot of people. I think we've all met someone like Rick who can kind of put on the charm, and then as you get to know them, you find that things aren't really quite as kosher as
mm,
you guessed.
mm. And in your intro, like I said, you came to writing and getting your first novel published a bit later in life. Can
Yes,
you tell us how that came about, and is it something you've been wanting to do most of your
yes.
life?
I've always wanted to write. Always
Mm,
loved stories, love reading, love watching films, but just really never took the time and trouble to sit down and actually do it. And I kept waiting for the perfect time when I'd have all the time and money in the world to sit and write and not have to go to work or have any other
mm.
responsibilities. And then I realised, of course, that time never comes. So you need to learn to write between the cracks, as we say. So I found once my children grew up, I had free time after work and on weekends in which I could choose to do what I wanted to do. So I decided to write then. and was actually on after a trip to Japan in 2018. I think because it was a change of scene and just a totally different environment, I kind of got an idea for a different novel, not this one. And it just sort of went from there.
Mm, mm. And how did you go about getting your first novel published?
Well, that was really a long journey. I've had many false starts. So
Mm,
this isn't actually my first novel. I did write another one before this, which has turned out to be my practice novel that
mm-hmm,
sits in the drawer and doesn't see the light of day. So lots of writing courses. I've done many courses with Australian Writers Centre, who are fantastic. Connecting with other writers on social media through groups like Global Girls Online, hashtag 6am Writers, Women Fiction Writers Association, any writing groups you can find that appeal to the kind of writing you'd like to do,
mm,
and just keep learning and find critique partners and beta readers. Very important to share your work and swap with other people and
mm.
constantly get feedback. Feedback's crucial. You just got to go after that feedback all the time, and that's how you improve.
Yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to say as well, I can see quite a lot of people are watching. So
Yeah.
please, if you've got a question for Naomi, please type it in comments and I can read it out. Kelly says she loves the design of your cover. And yeah, I have to say I really loved it as well. It looks very haunting.
Thank you. Yes, I actually had quite a bit of say in the cover design. Kingsley,
Mm,
my publisher, and they said, "Oh, choose a photo you like, choose what kind of typeface you like," and so I did. I noticed with a lot of domestic suspense novels, they have that big, it's either yellow or white typeface in quite large letters.
mm,
And a lot of them have a scary looking house in the background.
yeah,
So that's what I
yeah.
wanted. So people, as soon as they see, they know what they're in for,
Mm.
scary domestic story.
Yeah, yeah. And Kelly also wonders what's been the favourite part of your writing journey so far?
So much of it's, I really like all of it. The favourite part, well, I must say, it's been so gratifying to get all the lovely reviews I've been getting. I've been getting so many really lovely reviews.
Mm,
That's not to say I don't get my 1 and 2 star reviews. That's fine. It can't be everyone's cup of tea, but for the most part, everyone's really enjoyed the story, and it's been very gratifying. And of course, the book launch was fun. So my book launch was in the pub, so that was nice to get everyone together and
mm,
have a few drinks and just celebrate the book.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
do you want to share with us what you're working on now?
Yes, I'm working on another domestic suspense. This one is set in urban Melbourne. And it's about a reformed bad girl who's now a married mother of 2 teenage sons.
Mm,
And her impulsive behaviour has got her into some very serious life-ruining trouble. And she could be looking at jail time if she doesn't figure a
oh,
way out of her situation. She could
mm,
lose everything
mm.
in prison.
Yeah, no, that sounds like another exciting one.
Thank you.
And what about what you like to read yourself? Is there anything you might have read lately that you'd like to recommend to us?
So many. I can't keep up with it all. I
Yeah.
love, there's just so many fantastic novels. It's just, can't keep up. But lately I've read, I'm in the middle of listening to Dying to Know.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. Yep.
That's a good one. And I'm almost at the end and I'm dying to know what's
Mm,
going on there
mm,
because I can't work it out. I've got my suspicions, but I'm just quite intrigued by that one. Mercedes Mercer, Black Lives, set in a prison and a very unusual premise, and things just turned out in a completely unexpected way. So I love
mm,
that one. And then The Heart is a Star by Megan Rogers, which is sort of a family mystery, sort of unraveling the secrets of the family secrets and being drawn back into the past. Even though you're always, or the main character really is always kind of, haunted by her past, but that's another beautifully written, really lovely novel, but so many at the moment.
Yeah,
Wonderful choice.
yeah. No, thanks for those recommendations. We always love getting more recommendations. Um, could you tell us if there was any research that you did for your novel?
Not really a lot because it's in a domestic setting.
Mm,
Wasn't really a lot. I suppose my life experience of having, raised a family, that really helped. Um, I had to do a little bit of research into certain drug that
mm,
was a part of the story. I had to do a little bit of research about that. But for the most part, no, not a lot. The setting is the high country of Victoria, which I've been to, several times, quite often because my family had a caravan there a few years ago.
yeah.
So I just had to sort of, remember because I did write this in the pandemic. So
Mm,
I did go there briefly, sort of in the early stages of the pandemic, and just had a good look around and just got a good feel for the place.
mm.
But yeah, that's the beauty of domestic suspense is that you don't have to do a lot of research. Because I must admit, I'm a little bit lazy with research. I prefer to just get into the writing.
Yeah, yeah. And Belinda says she said she reads lots of thrillers, and she's
Yes,
wondered if you've been inspired by any other authors.
I like the classic authors that aren't necessarily crime as such, but there's a crime at the heart of them. Like my all-time favourites are Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and just finding out the mystery of who Rebecca really is, and the
Mm,
spectre of Rebecca hanging over the girl, and The Great Gatsby,
mm,
and Great Expectations. I think the stories that there is a crime in there, at the heart of the story, but you wouldn't call them crime novels as such, I suppose. But they're still very intriguing and fascinating. I think it's the characters that
mm,
make them so fascinating. So I'm more interested, really, I suppose, in character than
mm,
plot.
mm, mm. And is that what you found came to you first, the characters, when you started to
Mm.
write the book?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, very much so.
Mm, mm. And
Very much so.
and is
Mm.
there anything that you hope readers will love about your book?
I hope they see some of the humour in it because even
Mm,
though it's a dark story, there is a lot of humour, and that's kind of the rub with Rick. Even though he's such a horrid character, he is a funny guy, and he can make you laugh, and he's got a good sense of humour.
mm,
So I hope people see the humour in that, and just the humour in people's behaviour. Just like Chloe, for instance, some of the things she says as a teenage girl, I think
mm.
come out sounding, funny to adults. Just very simplistic
Yeah, yeah.
teenage point of view.
Mm. And when you started writing, did you know how the novel was going to end?
Yes, I'm very much a plotter, so
Yeah.
I've got my three act. I do everything on a grid,
Mm,
and I get my three act structure, and then my plot points, 5 plot points. And because it was multiple point of view, I had to keep them straight. So each character had their own little column on the spreadsheet, and I just kind of tracked where they were all at and made sure they were all, because it's the timeline's just sort of just past. What do they call that? Recent past.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they're all sort of operating in the same timeline. There's a
Mm,
few times when they go back to the past, but for the most part, they're all together in the moment. So
mm,
just keeping all that straight as
mm,
well. Just
mm.
needed to plot that out.
And when you're writing, have you got a favourite place to write?
Well, it was. I've actually just moved house, so my favourite place to write was just at the desk, which was in my lounge room,
Mm,
right by the front window, and I could look out onto the garden. I had a very pretty garden outside, and I could look out onto the garden. I've moved as of last weekend, so still figuring that out at the moment. But I'd say
yeah.
where I've got my desk perched is probably where I'll do my writing.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're not writing or reading, have you got some favorite pastimes?
I just love to go out in nature. I love to
Mm,
go out just and walking is, my form of exercise because I think you can just take off whenever you feel like it, and
mm,
go
mm,
for a bit of a drive, or round up whoever wants to come with you, and go for a walk and have a bit of a chat with family and friends, and
mm.
keeping up with everybody. I think I work full time, so by the time the weekend comes around and you sort
Yeah,
of catch up with everyone, there's your weekend.
yeah, yeah. And while you're writing, do you share what you write with anyone in your life, or you just wait till the end and
No, I do share. I've got some marvelous support in the writing community. I've
mm,
got people that I will swap with. When I've got a rough first draft, there's people that I suppose you call them alpha readers that see the very first rough draft. So
mm,
I've got certain um, people that I will share the rough draft with. Then I've got a group in America, a critique group that we got together through WFWA, Women Fiction Writers Association. They matched us together, and it's been fantastic. We've all just really clicked. So we tend to share as we go along, and
mm,
I might share something with them in the early stages and say, hey, what do you think of this idea? And then they'll say, oh, that won't work because of X, Y, Z, or yes, that's a good idea, which is good because that can save you a lot of time and trouble because they might see something that I've overlooked.
mm,
So different stages for different people. I think I've sort of got into the habit of, and then
mm,
there's people who I'll show it to when it's when I'm just about done, and just to get the final polish
mm.
on it really.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And what sort of things have you been to, have you been able to get out and about and promote your book?
Yes, well, I had the book launch last weekend.
Mm,
This weekend just gone. That was lovely. Really enjoyed that. So friends and family. It was at the Elgin Inn Hotel in Hawthorne,
mm.
which is a place which is just near my workplace, and I used to walk past it every day during the pandemic when
Oh,
I was
no.
writing it,
Mm,
and so I always thought that would be a nice place for a book launch. And doing a lot of online interviews, which have been fun. Um, so yes, and
yeah.
yes, just keeping up with all the online conversations and thanking all the wonderful reviewers. My publisher, Kingsley Publishers, have compiled a list of book bloggers from around the world, really, from all over. So it's been lovely getting their reviews and responding to them.
Mm, mm. And is there
Mm.
anything you'd like to share with us that maybe someone said about your book that maybe surprised or touched you?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's all been really lovely. I think the most gratifying thing is people said that they read it in a day or two.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the proof's in the pudding. If people just, put everything else off to sit and read the book for a day or
Mm,
two, I don't think you get any better proof than that people are enjoying it. So that's been really lovely to hear. I've heard that from many people that they got through it. I think my toughest critic would be my sister, Kate. She's actually not a reader at all. She doesn't really read fiction, and
mm,
she said that she sat in the hairdresser hopping through it.
mm.
So that was nice.
Yeah, that must be special if, yeah, especially if she's not really a big reader.
No,
Mm,
not as a
yeah.
rule, or not a fiction anyway.
Mm, mm. Well, thanks so much for joining me. It's been great talking to you, and good luck with your next book. Thanks everybody who joined in and asked some questions.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.